Shabbat Shalom, Mishpacha. I'm going to kickstart it a little earlier today because I may have to go a little early. When I say a little early, I may have to go out for a little bit. As you know, the Shabbat over here is already over. It is night time. It's 7:30 our time. So I'll kickstart it, and then when I finish, then Rabbi Kefa can take over. And if I'm around, then I'll conclude. In case I'm not around, then Rabbi Kefa can conclude. So with that in mind, since this has been recorded, and Rabbi Kefa, Shabbat Shalom to you, you can kick off the recording on your end, at Texas end, and I've kicked off the recording at my end so we can tally the two together at the end. Now, I felt that this is an important lecture in itself because it is our second lecture, I believe, of the new year. And I felt that I may need this extra time to explain a few things. And as you remember that I told you last week that I have several students outside of Paltalk. Just because you see 5 people here or 15 or 20 people, it doesn't mean that we have 20 people. We have thousands of people who follow our teachings, and they're not all in Paltalk because they can't. Usually it's a case of time difference. There is a time difference issue, and then also there's an issue with the bandwidth because not everybody has the bandwidth to connect to Paltalk because it does use a bit of bandwidth as well. So with that, a lot of people, what they do is they either catch a lecture off of Facebook when it's pre-recorded, or they, when it's recorded, or they catch it from YouTube.com. Our address on YouTube is YouTube, www.youtube.com/simalt, SIMALT. So those people that don't get in here, they catch it over there. And believe me, I can tell you there are many, many thousands of people that catch the lecture on YouTube. And then because I only know of this because one, I see the statistics. 2, I get emails from people asking questions who want to clarify things, and maybe sometimes they want to get a recording, audio recording, a meditation session. So therefore they would write to me and say, look, we need this, or we didn't understand such and such point. Could you clarify, etc. So I do get that as well. So meaning that don't go by the numbers that you see in Paltalk. That is a false impression of who we actually serve. We going across the world to several nations, 40 plus nations, and there are a lot of people who diligently follow teaching. You'll be surprised. In fact, I was surprised when I received the email yesterday from one of my offline students. I was quite surprised at how diligently he follows. And he had wanted to tell me the miracles and the manifestations that are happening in his life. And so, I want to read that email out to you so you can see for yourself that what I teach, not only do I teach it, probably one of the few rabbis, me and Rabbi Kefa, who teach it, but it works as well. And people are testifying to that it works. And it's great, it's very heartening to learn that what you teach actually works too. It's okay to read from a book and say the book says this and the book says that, but then when you come to real life and you apply those teachings and they don't work, then it's very disheartening for students, students of the book. And it's very disheartening for people who are trying to listen. And so therefore it is quite disheartening because I don't want to sit over here for 1 hour or 2 hours and Rabbi Kefa spend another 2 hours, 4 hours together, and all we get at the end of the day is fluff, and unfortunately, I don't want to be critical of other forms of religious worship, I really don't, But sadly, what I do see out there is just that, forms of religious worship, and they probably mean to do well. I'm not saying that they are evil or they are bad people. They mean to do well. But at the end of the day, a lot of people are not getting anything out of it. So my aim, when I came into this ministry, and it's been over 20 years now, since 1998, and you can calculate the date, since I've come into ministry in 1998. And I wasn't, one of these, pick up a brick kind of pastor or, self-made rabbi or teacher. I was a person who was called to this by the God of Israel. And so therefore I took up my mantle and I started to teach. And I wasn't, like I said, I didn't come from the street. I came from a corporate body. I came from a very upscale job, in a banking environment with a big salary behind it as well. So I decided at that point that I was going to teach this, and I was going to do it as free love, for the love of God, and to teach things to the people that they can take on board and take with them and benefit their lives. And whilst I was working on $100,000 plus job even then, and even after I left it, even then, it has only got better. It hasn't got worse, it's got better. Many people have come and many people have gone. Those that have come and gone, they're probably sitting on some pile today, pile of rubble, I call it, pile of rubble of people. Unfortunately, I have to use that terminology because that's all they are. They got nothing in their life to show for themselves. And those that have stuck with me, and there are people in this room that have stuck with me thick and thin, through thick and thin, and they have come away with great, great blessings. And then there are my students who are outside of this place, who come and listen offline, and they go away and they practice, and they may not respond to me every week, but they may write to me once every 6 months, but they tell me of great results, and I'm extremely happy to report that I have such students, and I'm proud of them. Really am proud of them. And this one particular student of mine wrote to me, and he asked me that, whether this was the right email address to communicate, and I said it is. And he said, "Good, my beloved Rabbi," he said, "I need to tell you something." And he said this is coming directly from his email. He says, "When I did the third eye chakra and all of those meditations, from that time, I'm getting prophetic dreams and visions which become reality. Not even one vision or dream didn't come to pass. Every one of my visions and dreams is still coming to pass. And even another thing that I must tell you, if someone dies, sometimes I can see them incarnated in animals, but none else can see just me. I wanted to prove if it is really from the God of Israel, so I asked for a sign 2 times. And 2 times he gave me a sign. One time when I was sleeping, a lightning person came to me and touched me, and I felt and I saw, as my whole body from the inner side and from the outside became a very sharp white light. That was real. It was not a dream, because I didn't sleep. I was already awoken. I just didn't open my eyes because I was scared to see the face of the lightning person that touched my soul. Then I asked another sign from Hashem, and it came to me in a person of smoke. It was as a person created out of big smoke, but he just stood there before me, and then he disappeared. And then he asked me, he said, "Can you please tell me the meaning of all that, please, Rabbi?" So this is a short testimony, and my goodness, what a powerful testimony. What a powerful testimony it is as well. And this is what I mean by students who listen on the internet and who, write to me. And, I can't tell you everything, because there are people who phone me. There are people who send me a WhatsApp text, and there are people who just send me, maybe a message on Messenger, and they will tell me something of noteworthy. And and so on and so forth. And so therefore, this is my point. You're not here to waste your time. You should never think like that. I want you to understand that point clearly. I could be outside somewhere else making money, and I really mean that. I could be making thousands of dollars somewhere else, but I have chosen to serve the God of Israel with my whole heart. From the day that I came in, I chose to serve Him and then let Him put the food on my table. That's my viewpoint, and that's just me. And that doesn't mean that I have to go out and not work. It means I still do my work. I still do whatever I need to, but I set my times so that I can be here and that I can also be outside when I have to. So my point being this, that you as a family of mishpacha or mishpachat of Israel, if you're a family of Israel, if you believe that you're an Israelite and you've been with us, some of you have been with us for a long, long time, and then your responsibility is that you support the Kohen in the gate. I am your Kohen. I'm the one who gives you instructions. I'm the one who wants to benefit your life, because what I speak will come straight from the Torah. It will come from scriptures. You can go and verify it, and then you can run with it, and then you can apply it in your life, and you will see the results. And that's my challenge. My challenge is simply this: if you don't see results, don't waste your time. If you see results, you stick and you do the requirement. You do what we call the compliance. What is the compliance? The compliance, the Torah is very clear. When you have a Kohen in the gate, and he will be there, and he will speak the words that I command him, that you are to provide for his needs. You are to provide for the Kohen in the gate, that he may teach you the Torah. This is a command that comes out of the Torah. And having said that, I wanted to give you a couple of other testimonies that I think my student that usually is here, and she's not here yet. She's probably going to turn up about 10 o'clock. She doesn't know we started earlier. And she was telling me that she, after doing some exercises, certain meditations, that her body was like it's on fire, and her leg was shaking, and she was getting vibration in her shoulder and her leg. And she asked me, she said, is this a sign of addiction? Meaning that, years ago she was taking opioids. And she asked me, or is this something else? So I explained to her that it is quite normal when you do the meditations, your chakras, your 7 main chakras, they will come into action and they will start vibrating, and you will start seeing vibrations in different parts of your body. It might be your leg, it might be your stomach area, it might be your Muladhara chakra, which is your root chakra, the as you sit on your bottom. It might be the bottom bone area, it might be the heart chakra, it may be the throat chakra. These areas can come into effect and they can start vibrating, and you may start seeing reverberations, in your body. And so it's perfectly normal. Don't think that you're getting a heart attack or anything like that. You just got to, relax, calm down, and see to the end of that where you're going with it. Breathe normally, so that you don't need to get excited. It is, normal after meditation for these things to happen. So, I have been doing several experiments of late, and I have put some of my students to task to also do the experiments and tests with me, so that we can come to a conclusion what works and what doesn't work, so that we can eliminate that doesn't work, we eliminate it, and that works, we continue with it. And so therefore, today's Parsha is Shemot, and Shemot is from the book of Exodus, and it's all about names. The names of the tribes of Israel, the name of God, and the other things. In chapter 1 talks about, these are the names of the children of Israel, which came to Mitzrayim, Egypt. Each man and his household came with Yaakov. And then it lists all the children of Israel. and where they were in Egypt and what happened, and how the children of Israel were fruitful and blessed abundantly. They multiplied and grew exceedingly mightily, and the land was filled with them. And so on and so forth. And it starts talking about the new king, and it starts talking about what happened after that, and then it starts talking about Moses' birth after that, how Moses' birth came about, how, it says a man, chapter 2, a man of the Beit of the house of Levi went and took as a wife a daughter of Levi. The woman conceived and bore a son, and when she saw that he was a beautiful child, she hid him 3 months. And when she could no longer hide him, she took an ark of bulrushes for him, daubed it with asphalt and pitch, put the child in it, and laid it in the reeds by the river bank. Basically, she, the story that you see in most of these movies, like the Ten Commandments, how Moses was put in a basket, and the Pharaoh's. It talks about Pharaoh's daughter who sees the basket and she pulls it in, and then she becomes Moses' mother in that particular fashion. And then it talks about how Moses, was near the mountain, and God calls Moses out of the burning bush in chapter 3. And it says that, and Malach Yahweh appeared to him, chapter 3 verse 2 in Exodus, and Malach Yahweh appeared to him in a flame of fire from the midst of a bush, and he looked, and behold, the bush was burning with fire, but the bush was not consumed. And Moshe said, I will now turn aside and see the great sign why the bush does not burn. And when Yahweh saw that he turned aside to look, Elohim called to him from the midst of the bush and said, Moshe, Moshe. And he said, Here I am. And he said, Do not draw near to this place. Take your sandals off your feet, for the place where you stand is holy ground. Now, very mysterious verse. And, a lot of people have made interpretations of that verse, what it means. It does have several interpretations. However, we may look at the interpretation of that. But what is clear is that the children of Israel were given covenants by the God of Israel. That is absolutely abundantly clear. And what is abundantly clear is that we were also commanded to do certain things. We were given a set of statutes, judgments, and commandments, and we were to enact them. And so what today is happening is that those commands have become also mysterious, and people tend to try to literally either understand them or follow them, but they're not always literal. Sometimes they are symbolic, sometimes they are literal, sometimes they are both, and sometimes they are none. So the problem is how you follow it. Again, horses for courses. Who do you listen to? Which teacher do you go to, and who do you listen to makes all the difference, because what you hear from one person, you may not hear from another person. And therefore, you may get different interpretations, and different interpretations, you might think it's a good idea to get 2 interpretations or 3 interpretations, and maybe sometimes it is a good idea, but mostly I find that it's not a good idea to get several interpretations. Unless those verses have several interpretations, it can lead you down a very sticky, road where you actually end up at what I call a dead end. So you don't want to be at a dead end. So be very careful of whose interpretation you listen to, because they could lead you totally in the wrong, on the wrong road, to not success, but maybe of unsuccess. So, with this, I want to give you a little story, and I thought it was quite a poignant story. I heard this story, and I thought it was quite a poignant story, and a nice, little point to it, and you may find this, somewhere on the net, I guess. There was this woman, a housewife, and there were 3 men outside her home, and they ask. This woman sees them, and they all look very, like they look old, and they look scrummy, and they look like they are all hungry. And so she asks them, can I give you some food? And the men ask her, is your husband home? And the woman says, no, my husband is not home. And the men say, sorry, we can't come in if your husband's not home. So, surprised, she waits for her husband to come home. Husband comes home. She speaks to her husband. And she says to the husband that there are 3 men outside. They look pretty scrummy and they look like they are hungry, but they won't come in because you are not home. So the husband says, now that I'm home, can you invite them to dinner and we'll feed them some food? So the woman goes out and asks the men, would you come in for dinner? Because my husband is home now. And the 3 men refuse again and say, no, you need to ask your husband, who does he want to come in first? Because we'll come in one by one. And she says, what does that mean? And then the men say, well, the first man says, my name is wealth. The second man says, my name is success. And the third man says, my name is love. So ask your husband, who does he want in his home? So the woman goes back to the husband, confused. And she says to the husband, these 3 men are giving me 3 names. And who shall we invite first? And she gives the husband the 3 names. And the husband says, invite wealth. Because if wealth comes into our house, we'll have lots of money. And we can do anything we want. And we'll be happy. And so the woman says, no, honey, maybe we should invite success. Because if we can find all the success we want, then of course we'll get the money as well. And that way we'll be okay. And they have a little daughter who's listening. And the little daughter says, no, mommy, why don't you call in love? If you call in love, then we will have love in our house. And we will have plenty of love. So the 2, the 3 between themselves, the 2 husband and wife, they first, have a discussion, and then they agree to their daughter's suggestion. They say, yes, we will call love in instead of the wealth and the success. And so the wife goes out and she calls love and she says, please, can you come in first for your dinner? So love comes in, and as love is walking in, wealth and success follow love. And the woman looks a bit surprised and says, but you said that you're going to come one by one. And then love says to the woman that wherever I go, these 2 go with me. Had you asked for wealth, you would only get wealth. Had you asked for success, you would only get success and not love. So he said, but if you ask for love, since you made a wise choice, they must come with me. Shabbat Shalom, James. And Shabbat Shalom, rabbis in the room. Rabbi Michael, Rabbi Zachariah. And so the woman, so love basically comes in, and so does wealth, and so does success. So there is a lesson behind this story. And the lesson is this. A lot of people in this world are simply chasing wealth, money. And what happens is 9 times out of 10, they fail. 9 times out of 10, they will fail. And 1 time out of 10, they will pass, but they will, they may get their wealth, but they will not have love in that home. They will not have the peace they require that comes with love. See, God is love. We know that. So if God is love, if God is in your house, imagine what is in your house. Everything. You will have wealth, you will have success, you will have protection, you will have blessings. The whole works in one. So love is key to success. Having said that, this is why I have done this ministry with love as my foremost, my foremost weapon of choice is love. And, we've been through, my goodness, Rabbi Kefa can tell you, slander, scandal, and, allegations and all sorts of things, but that hasn't deterred us from teaching you the truth. Still, why? With the fellowship of love. Because love is what drives everything. Therefore, it is okay, it is perfectly fine for you to aim to be successful and aim to be wealthy, but set love as your parameter for, entry into your home, admission into your home. Where you have love, there you have God. and there you have everything. That is absolute key to success. And this is something that you'll be surprised, but this is the key to success, is love. Now, if there's no love in the house, you can have all the money in the world, and then it will come fighting, and then it will come division, and then it will come destruction. So these are the things that you want to be careful about. Now, I will talk a little bit about Psalm 3 as well, because there is a couple of verses there that I need to also explain, as somebody asked me, one of my students asked me. But before I do, I wanted to give you a little synopsis of my testing. This is what I found in real life. I found in real life that certain Hebrew sounds are very constructive and can produce miracles in your life. But there are other Hebrew sounds that are very destructive and can produce destruction in your life. Now, what does that mean? It means that there are certain Hebrew sounds that if you use them, you can inflict punishment on your enemies, and they will destroy your enemies. Today for that, Rabbi Zechariah. Rabbi Zechariah saying, HaKohen, I have great testimonies I will share soon. I'm in the process of moving right now, listening to the lectures on my phone. Baruch Hashem for your HaKohen and your guidance. Yeah, today for that, Rabbi Zechariah. We will wait to hear from you. And Shabbat Shalom to you, Daniel. So what I was saying is they're constructive and they're destructive. And I just happened to be playing, like when I say playing, I mean I was testing inadvertently. I thought to myself, let me use this sound, which I know is of destruction. But the mistake I made was that maybe I had the wrong focus, on the wrong person. And I ended up almost killing somebody, and thank God that they didn't die. Thank God for that. They were in the hospital almost dead. And, hope was gone. But then I said, no, this person's not going to die, not on my watch. They will live. And they did survive. But my point is that, don't take these things lightly. The Hebrew language is very, very powerful. Sounds are very, very powerful. And I just was under testing. This is just under testing environment. But like I said, because my focus was at a wrong person, because, it may have been that we have pictures and things of people that we love, and we have objects that we, place for people that we love. And if we then, while we're doing our chant or speaking, we focus our focus on that object or that, picture or that person, then you're channeling your energy towards that person. And then what happens out of the blue? Boom! It's like something happened. A person ended up in hospital almost killing themselves. So this is why I will not share with you what sounds those are, because they are very destructive. And I will not share it on a public forum for other people to misuse it or misapply it and try to, cause harm to other people. But I will share with you the constructive miracle sounds of Hebrew that, will help you and will give you great blessings and miracles in your life. So that is my particular aim. Now, I wanted to take you to Psalm 3, and then I will return back to where we are right now. In Psalm 3, it says, But you, O Yahweh, a shield for me, my glory, and the lifter of my head. I cried unto Yahweh with my voice, and he heard me out of his holy hill. Selah. Okay, so this is a verse. Somebody asked me that, what does this verse mean? And it then says in verse 5, Psalm 3 verse 5, I laid myself down and slept. I awoke, for Yahweh sustained me. Okay, so what does that mean? So these three verses are very much connected together. Very much connected together. What do they mean? These verses which says, I cried unto the Lord. Now, it's very important. Now, let me just open my Hebrew Bible, and then I can maybe open up the chapter of Psalms there. Where are we? Okay, it's taking a little while to to, oh, there it is, Psalms 3. Okay, so in the Hebrew, let's see. Yeah. But you, Yahweh, you are a shield for me, my glory and the lifter of my head. Ve'ata Yahweh, or you might find Adonai or Hashem in the Hebrew Bible, in the transliteration. So, Ve'ata Yahweh Magen Ba'adi Kevodi Umerim Roshi. Okay, so these are the verses there. And then I cry to the Lord, which is Koli El Yahweh. I cry to the Lord. I cry to the Lord with my voice. Koli El Yahweh Ikra, and he heard me. Vaye Aneni, and he heard me. Mehar, out of the holy mountain or holy hill, whichever way you like to pronounce that. Selah. So, what is the meaning of this? The meaning of this is actually quite remarkable and simple. It actually means that when you go to bed at night, you are to chant or you are to think on the God that you serve, the God of Israel. And you are to call upon His name. When we say call upon His name, remember this Parsha is called Shemot, names. What does that mean? It doesn't mean you say Yahweh or you say Yud-He-Wah-He or you say Yehovah. It doesn't mean that at all. This is something that, a lot of the teachers of Hebrew, unfortunately, will go into that direction. Or they might say Ahaya. They'd like to use Ahaya as well, some of these groups. So it has nothing to do with Ahaya. It has nothing to do with saying the pronunciation of Yehovah or Yahweh. That's all gibberish. It doesn't mean that. It means that when you go to bed at night, before you sleep, and when it says, I cried unto, and what that means, I'll come on to the meaning of I cried unto. But first it speaks about that, it says, but you, O Yahweh, are a shield, O Yud-He-Wah-He, a shield for me and my glory and the lifter of my head. Now the head part is your imagination part. That is where you imagine from. So when you go to bed at night, whatever desire you have, whatever desire that you're fostering in your writings or in your scripting, that is what you're to speak about. That's what you're supposed to be thinking about, and that's what you're supposed to be sleeping on. So this is exactly the kind of things that Neville Goddard shared, and he said that when you go to bed at night, you think about the desire and you sleep on it. This psalm actually speaks about it. This psalm actually tells you about that. But then this psalm flips, and this psalm says in the very next verse, it says, I cried unto Yahweh. Now, the word there in the Hebrew is kara. And kara means to speak something, pure, or to speak something plain. Now, when it says I cried unto Yahweh, of course, it doesn't mean you're going to cry at night when you're sleeping. Because if you're going to cry sleeping, like if you go to bed literally crying, then you may actually end up getting the opposite of what you're requiring. Because you never go to bed crying. Because if you go to bed crying, then it can have an adverse effect on your manifestation. Your manifestation will still come to pass, but it may not be exactly what you asked for. Never cry when you sleep. Remember, the Torah, the Bible tells us, do not be angry when you sleep. So the two things you must never do is, one, be angry, and two, be crying. Those are the two things you avoid. So when it says, I cried unto the Lord, or I cried unto Yahweh, it is not speaking about night time. It is speaking about morning time, like dawn. When it is dawn, around about 5 o'clock in the morning, that is when you cry. And when it says cry, it doesn't mean like, tears coming from your eyes. It means you spoke your manifestations out. You called out. You said this will happen for me. Like if you said, I am a millionaire, I am perfect health. You're calling those things out into the air at the morning session, First thing in the morning when you wake up, you sit down for your meditation. That is what, this is what King David is saying essentially over here, that this is when you do it. Because when you do it at that time, it has much more profound and powerful effect than at other times of the day. Now, it doesn't mean that other times of the day things don't happen. They do happen. But it means that that one particular time of the day, the time between 3 a.m. and 6 a.m. is a key time that is absolutely, golden time. If you can mark that time in your diaries, if you're able to get up, if you're able to speak at that time and do your meditations, that's a brilliant time for you to bring your manifestations to pass, and quickly as well. So what is the point of the Hebrew sounds? The point of the Hebrew sounds is to bring your miracles and bring your manifestations faster. You lessen the time. Let me give you an example. If you just did pure visualization, you do not know how long it will take to bring that manifestation by pure visualization. Visualization will bring it, but it may take a month, it may take a year, it may take 10 years. You just don't know when. There is no time to it. And some of the teachers will say, oh, put a time on it, or say by such and such a date. No, all those things will fail. They will not work. I've already tested those things. They do not work by dates. So how do you shorten the length of time? The only way that you can shorten the length of time, and I'll give you a testimony of a Pakistani actor who said this. He said that as a child, he used to go to bed thinking that he's playing a drama, like he's an actor in a drama. And he used to see it every night. And he spoke about the law of attraction in his little speech. And he said he used to see it every night. And then when he grew up, he didn't even realize it will ever become an actor, but he used to see that at night before he went to bed. It practically took him whole life. He started to see that when he was 7 years old. And when he grew up to be 24, count the number of years that went. Beyond 24, 25, 27. We're talking about maybe 20 years later he became an actor. 20 years later. And he wasn't a successful actor till maybe about 28, 30 years old. He became a successful actor. My point is that visualization by itself is slow. It takes time. But when you add the sounds, you know what you're doing? You're adding the nitro to it. If you ever been to that, like I was once taken to this track racing in Indiana, and I saw how these cars, by putting that nitro liquid in, my goodness, the cars were speeding from 100 miles to like 400 miles an hour. They're like, boom, they go over there. So that is the difference between adding the sound to your visualization. Visualization is great, but it will take time. Therefore, you must add the sound to put that nitro into it, to speed it up. And so my purpose, my job was to test different sounds. And because I'm testing different sounds, therefore I wanted to know which sound is better for what. Now, I've been practicing this week as well. And as I told you, this destructive sound that I use, my goodness, I can tell you it happened overnight. It's like the next day this thing happened to me. I was like, my goodness, I got to be, a little bit careful, pulling that horse. So I stopped using that sound. So immediately, it's that fast. So then I started to practice some other sounds. And I thought, well, let me practice some other sounds and see the effects of those sounds. And I just started to do those sounds. And I want to give you those sounds. And those sounds, I have written them down over here. One of the sounds that you want to do is the sound, and you'll be surprised about this, it's the sound Remember, the sound is in the Hebrew Bible is for people. Ami for people of Israel. Yisrael for people of Israel. The sound is a powerful, powerful sound. And if you do the meditation on the sound, the alif and the mim, you join it together and you do it, and you do it 108 times every day, you're going to start seeing changes. The second sound I want to give you is the man sound. Remember what man is? Man is for manna. You write it manna in English, but in Hebrew it's man. Man is a sound, and man is a powerful sound. Remember, God gave Israelites man, and the Israelites were fed, and their shoes never tore, and their clothes never tore. You see, for you and me, if we just read the Bible in English, we think, oh, well, it just means that their clothes didn't go off, and they didn't have to do wash every week, and they didn't tear. No. Man actually means that God gave them a miracle, and that miracle was such that it regenerated their clothes, their homes, their way of life, their shoes, everything. So man sound is, don't just take it literally as something falling from heaven, like little coriander seeds, like cornflakes. It's not cornflakes. Man is a sound. Man is a miracle sound. So when you do man, you do it 108 times, man, every day. So the two things that you can do is write the date, like write today's date, and you speak the sound man 108 times. Then you speak the sound 108 times. You close your eyes and do it. And you face the north when you do it. Always try to face the north and speak it. And if there's somebody in the room and you can't speak it because you're shy, then you can speak it inside. And you will start to see miracles. I guarantee you'll see miracles. Because I have. I've been seeing some miracles over here. So having said that, this is my experimentation. Now I can't give you the destructive word because, like I said, the destructive sound, it was just one of those things that I just, happened to say, okay, let me do it, let me do it for a little bit. And I only did it for a very short time as well, very short period. And I think the max I did that was for 2 days, and I stopped. So because, I saw the power, and I thought, well, you know what, this sound isn't suitable for the kind of manifestations that I'm desiring, because I don't want to kill somebody. So I don't want to do that sound for now. And, if there is an enemy that, wants to kill you and wants to disgrace you and wants to ruin your family, I can guarantee you that I will be using that sound. If I have an enemy like that, you can be for sure that I will use that sound. And I will send the effect towards that, the energy towards that household. When you have enemies like that want to try to destroy you, then you have the right to send destruction their way. And it's that's called a punishment. And that's justice. But we don't deliberately want to destroy people's homes or families, because we are not called to do that. But if we are, then if we have to, then we have to. So sometimes you have to, because there are evil people in this world, and sometimes you have to do that to protect your families. And I'm not encouraging you to always do it, but I'm saying that sometimes you have to. Now, also want to come back to Shemot chapter 3, where we see that the God of Israel arrives at this particular juncture at a bush, and he's speaking from the bush, and it says that Moses was told to take his shoes off. It says when Yahweh saw that he turned aside to look, Elohim called to him from the midst of the bush and said, Moses, Moses, or Moshe, Moshe. And he said, do not draw near to this place, take your sandals off. Now, let me take you to the Hebrew Bible again. Let's go to Exodus 3. Where are we? Exodus chapters 3 and verse 5. Where are you? Okay. It's here somewhere. Oh, there it is. And he said, do not come near. Okay, do not come any closer. Ve'yomer al tikrav ha lom shal na'elecha me'al raglecha ki hamakom asher ata omed alav admat kodeshu. So basically meaning that do not come closer to this place. Take your shoes or your sandals off your feet, for the place which you stand on is holy ground. I think it is probably good to know what this means. And you've been given the traditional meanings, which means that okay, take your sandals off, and because maybe they're made of leather, and maybe it's going to bring death, and God's presence is there. God doesn't like death, so on and so forth. Okay, so these are the kind of traditional interpretations. However, it doesn't actually mean that, because look, God is the one who creates life, and God is the one who creates death. So would the one who creates death have a problem with death? And Yael, you're saying which chakra with each to focus on? Which are you talking about? The sound. When you are using the sound and you're using the sound man, okay, those two sounds. The sound, you want to focus on your third eye chakra, and the man sound you want to focus on your throat chakra, throat sound, the throat area. The man sound you can also focus on your the secret chakra that you have, what you call it, the womb chakra as well, the secret one. But it will still be effective if you place it on your throat and you place it on your third eye. Now, I think you came in a little late, and I read the testimony of a student of mine who had his third eye opened, and he started to see all sorts of miracles happening in his life. And so, he wrote into me, and you probably have to listen to this recording to get that bit again. Because some of you, I don't think you came in late, but I think I started earlier. So he told me that because his third eye opened with the meditations, he was seeing miracles, he was seeing things happen before they happened, he was able to see premonitions, like before somebody's going to die, he was able to see it, that person's going to die, and he had visitations. When he asked for sign to the God of Israel, he got 2 signs as well, two angels coming to him to give him to let him know that this thing is real. And so he wrote to me about that. So having said that, let's come back to this. Where's my verse gone? 3:5. And he said, do not come any closer. Take off your shoes from your feet, for the place on which you stand is holy ground. Okay? All right. Okay, so traditional meaning, like I said, traditional meaning is these shoes, they're made from leather, and leather causes death, and so and blah blah blah. Okay, so let me tell you a funny thing. If that was the case, if all we were concerned about was the leather causing death, then why the heck are the rabbis today wearing a leather on their forehead? They're walking around with that box on their head. Why? Why wear the phylacteries? Isn't that death? Because that's made from leather as well, by the way. Last I read about it. Yep, that's from cow's hide. So meaning that interpretation that you traditionally get is not accurate. It is not what is being explained over here. Here, what you're being explained is something totally different. But because we like to think about the physical and not the spiritual, we end up with the wrong interpretations. And he said, draw not near here. Put your shoes off from your feet, for the place where you stand is holy ground. Wonderful. Let me ask you a question. When you go to sleep at night, do you put your shoes on? How many of you put your shoes on when you sleep? So we can have a laugh about it. Such and such person sleeps with their shoes on. Obviously, it is, unless you're a soldier in the field and fighting some, war, I don't think you'll be wearing your shoes when you sleep. You're likely to take your shoes off, okay, at night. So, maybe socks, yeah, maybe socks, but God didn't ask him to take his socks off. Then he didn't speak about his socks either. Maybe he wasn't wearing socks because it was the hot weather. So having said that, it's kind of funny that what the meaning of this is this. is that when you go to bed at night, you take your shoes off, you commune with God. That is what the meaning of this verse is. That you take your shoes off and you commune with God at night when you're trying to sleep. Because remember, it said, the place where you put your feet on is holy ground. Well, if at night I sleep on the bed and I commune with God, that is my holy ground. That is where I commune with God. Or if I sit on my couch in the morning or afternoon or evening and I take my shoes off and I sit on my couch with crossed feet, then that is holy ground to me as well. So essentially, when it said to Moses, Moses, take your shoes off or you stand on holy ground, meaning that when you go to bed at night and you take your shoes off, at that point you can commune with God. And what you ask God, God can deliver to you. That is the meaning of that verse. It doesn't mean that, oh, it's made from cow's hide and you mustn't, wear your shoes in presence of God, and, all those crappy interpretations are just that. They're just crappy interpretations. That's not the truth. The truth is this, that we are all able to, all of us that call ourselves the family of Israel, the children of Israel, all of us, and those that are with us, those that came from whatever background you came from, whether you're from a Gentile background and joined onto Israel, then you also have that ability to take your shoes off at night and commune with God. Because where is God? God is in your head, meaning that the consciousness, the subconscious mind, is the connection to God. And we can only do that in peace and quiet. You can't do it with, trains and planes and everything flying around you, or, you're working in a production line. It's very difficult to at that time focus and commune with God. The best time to commune with God is when you're about to lay down at night, because in Jewish tradition it is said that sleeping is 60th of death. It's called a 60th percent of death. It's like you're dead, but you're not dead. You're alive because you're breathing and your brain is functioning. So you're communing with God. So whatever you ask at that time, and when it says you're on holy ground, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're on some flat surface or some mountain. It actually means that at that time you are having a holy communion with the power of God. That's basically what it means. And it's a basic, simple meaning. And a lot of people have, taken the movies approach, and they give you the movies meanings and other meanings, but they don't give you the real meaning. Because like I said, if the leather is so bad, then why wear it on your head all day long? That's what the ancient Israelites did. In Jerusalem, they were wearing these boxes around their head in the first century and walking around with them all day. Well, if it's such a bad idea, if it's a leather, the issue is dead animal, then why would you be wearing that on your head all day and call yourself a holy man? That's kind of contradictory, isn't it? So I don't think that they believed in that either. Those first century Pharisees didn't believe that wearing a box on your head makes you an unholy man. Right, exactly. If leather is so bad, why wrap it around your head and arm and then pray with it? I mean, isn't that dead cow? Yes, it is dead cow, meaning that you cannot go with common interpretations. So it has a meaning. And when you're putting that leather on your forehead, let me tell you what you're doing. Let me tell you something. Yeah, let me tell you. It's not the Texas cow, of course. What you're doing is you're putting it on your third eye. Think about it. When you're putting that phylactery on, you're putting it on your third eye. You're powering your third eye by Yahweh's name, because that contains Yahweh's names in there. It contains Hebrew in there and names. So you're powering your third eye with it. And then when you're wrapping it on your arm, you wrap it on your arm 7 times and you bring it to your hand. So what are you doing? You're encompassing your lower chakras. There are chakras on your arms. So, out of the 108 chakras in the body, you're encompassing those chakras. You're putting the leather around them. And at that time you're trying to commune with God as well. Think about it. You're trying to commune with God at that time as well. So yes, That is why, this is why I never said to you, don't wear flectories. Wear flectories. If you're male, you wear them. But that's what you're doing. You're activating, you're focusing it on your third eye. Because remember, sounds, they penetrate. Sounds will penetrate. And so when you're speaking, this is why I encourage all of you. I encourage every one of you, even if all you do is read, 2 paragraphs from the Torah every day. If all you do is read even 1 paragraph, if you don't want to read 2 paragraphs, you only want to read 1 paragraph out of the Torah and 1 out of the Psalms, I encourage you every day to make a habit to do it, to read it, because the sounds will be powerful in your life. That is my experience, by the way, of my ministry. I have done that, and I have found a lot of power in that. If I'm sitting in the East today, is because of that. Let's put it that way. So therefore, don't take that don't take that lightly, because when you read a portion of Torah, and I'm not saying to read 4 chapters, I'm just asking you to pick a encouraging passage from the Torah, from the Psalms or even from the prophets, and make a habit of reading that every day. When you wake up in the morning, even if it's 2 paragraphs, read it every day, religiously, diligently, and you will go far. This is why when I was writing the Siddur, the Forever-Israel Siddur, this is why I put the power Psalms in there, so that people can read it every morning and they will give you power. Psalm 5, Psalm 8, facing the north, business success, wealth, money, etc., love, all those things will come to you. But, how they're going to come to you if you don't even read it? How are you going to come? They're going to come, you don't even buy the, Forever-Israel Siddur. You just think, oh, it's just another book. No, it's not just another book. Those are powerful words in there. And they have meaning behind it. They have sounds behind it. When you take those sounds, you're echoing them in the air. Sounds never disappear. Words that you speak, words have power. Words that you speak, they remain in space forever. They don't go anywhere. That's why when you read those sounds every morning, you're putting it out in the air. Hence why when you read your affirmations every morning or afternoon or evening, you're putting it out into the air and you're speaking it. And guess what's more powerful? Visualizing or speaking? Think about it for a second. Did God visualize the word or did God speak the word? And you'll get your answer. So this is why I say to you that, be wise. Look at what works and look at what doesn't work. And you will find much success in your life if you follow the correct approach. I'm here to give you the sounds, and I want you to take those sounds on board, and I want you to apply them in your life and see the results for yourself. You don't have to spend time believing me, because what's happening is happening in my life, but what's happening is happening in my students' life as well. So do it for your sake, for your family's sake, to bring success into their lives, and it will really bring in success into their lives. Now, there's other things, there's other techniques. Like, remember, I spoke about the gold technique, I spoke about the money technique, and I said that, you do the Zahav Echad speech every day 108 times. You do the Kesef Echad money speech 108 times every day. Now, there's also the question of, should I do with the red mala or the rosaries, or should I do it with the yellow one, the citrine? To me, you can do it with the yellow and you can do it with the red. Both will work equally well. In my experience, both work equally well. It's up to you. If you want to do it with the yellow one, it's okay, no problem. If you got the citrine mala, it's great. If you don't have that, if you only have the red one, the one that's made of wood, that is sandalwood, and that's great too. I have both, and to be honest, between me and you, I only use my red one. I look at my yellow citrine one. It's on my couch, but I don't use that for the moment. I'm using my red one because I've charged it diligently, and I'm going to use it, and I continue to use that, and it continues to work for me. So I would encourage you to either way, whatever you charge, and you know how to charge it, as I explained it before. You take coconut water into a bowl, and you put your mala, your rosary beads, 108 beads into there, and you wet them, and you take them out. You then wash them, and you dry them in the sun for about 1 hour, and you're good to go. They're charged. Then you start, as you read, as you chant the sounds, the beads will start getting charged more and more. Okay, so I'd encourage you to do that. And with that, I think I'll give myself a break, and I'll pass the mic over to Rabbi Kefa, and we'll continue after Rabbi Kefa. Toda for coming in. As I said, it's pre-recorded. I have recorded this, and when I say pre-recorded, this is live, but I'm recording it, and once Rabbi Kefa does his bit, he can send me his recording, and I'll join the two, and I'll put it up online. Okay, so have a great Shabbat. As regards to the calendar, the new calendar, the Enoch calendar, I have passed it on to Rabbi Benaiah. Attention, he is on travels in America, he's all over the place, and he will produce the next one for us, and he will pass it to me, and I will check it, then I will post it. We still have time till March 21, when the new year begins, biblical new year, and so Torah new year. So we'll wait for that, and until then, Rabbi Kefa, over to you.
Tadar Rabah Hakohi, if I can be heard, can I get a one? Hakohi is absolutely right. Tadar for your responses, by the way. Shabbat shalom, shalom to you wherever you are in the world. Hakohi is absolutely right. There are students from all over the world that are either phoning in, connecting some kind of way with Hakohi or myself from the website. I tell you what, it's just a beautiful thing to see Israel really wake up, and individuals as well, because it's not just Israel, it's humanity really waking up and really getting sick and tired of what Hakohi talked about earlier with the fluff. My goodness, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean that from someone who has come out of the fluff. For those here, Hakohi's lecture, I know we started, no worries there. It is being recorded from my end and from Hakohi's end as well. But how many of you at one time or another were in the fluff? So you can sympathize and empathize. It was enough of the fluff for me. I was, sick and tired of just going through the motions with religion. And I have been in and I've tasted many different waters of religion, bitter waters of religion, and I never, got my thirst quenched. So, I really understand what Hakohi means and empathize and sympathize with the fluff. And here is not everything that you do here, everything that you're taught here, and that you take to your head and to your heart and you begin to apply will truly be beneficial to your life, so that you can have a life that is more of an abundance of a life. I mean, that's what it's all about at the end of the day. Convert, revert, it doesn't matter. I know the majority of you probably listening via YouTube and live in this room right now, you have a Bible in your home. But what good is it for you to read the Bible, but not really understand how to apply the Bible in 21, Baruch Hashem? I mean, in Gregory's in Gregorian 2021. I mean, what good is it? What good is it for you to do? And truly, you want to talk about names? Truly, one of the names that were given to the 12 clans or the 12 tribes, the 12 sons of Jacob, or the 12, the 12 tribes of Yisrael, Israel, was what? One of the names that were given to them was this: the children of Israel. The children of Israel. Now, that has many different, many different layers of that. But when I see children of Israel, two things come to my mind. When I say that man has some children, right? You think of a family. And number two, what I think of is being a new father myself of a 15-month-old. I see what it means to be a child and what a child does and what a child says. Hakohi talks about the spoken word. My goodness, indeed. When you hear a child speak for the first time, it is sounds, correct? And I think Hakohi did a lecture on this a while back. And I tell you, my son is making some of those same sounds. The ones we talked about today, I mean, he does the boom sound and the sound. He'll be in the bathtub. And this is a ritual for him to do this. He's 15 months old. Once his gluteus maximus, once his little booty touches that water in the tub, he begins to say, he says it, he chants it, because of course, his we've been practicing this. And now he does it like clockwork. And I'm so excited and super happy that, he'll grow up with sounds and not mere scriptures. You know what I mean? He'll grow up. I tell you, he's going to be so powerful, Mishpachah. That he's going to do great and marvelous things for this world. And he's going to do it from a happy, humble, healthy standpoint. Baruch Hashem. And that's where it's coming from. Because, again, he was brought up with this as a child. Our holy books also tell us that you are to train up a child in the way he or she should go. And when they're old, they won't depart, right? I take that scripture, I take that verse from our holy books very, very seriously. Very, very seriously. So as a new father myself, I take that and I'm going to apply that, because it's the application that's more important as well. What good is it for you to come here in this environment, wherever you're at all over the world, and just sit and listen and not begin to take and apply? You see, because different things are going to work for different individuals, because we're collectively a family of 12 tribes. But again, each tribe has its responsibility, has its role within the collective unit. And that's a beautiful thing. You have your specialties and your specialists in different areas. And I want you to be mindful of this and guard against doing this as well. As you hear the testimonies coming in from different, family members, guard against the negativity that can pop up. You see this in this Parsha as well, but also understand that that's still alive and well at the negative side, the negative forces of jealousy, envy, and you may be questioning, and it's going to seep in real subtle, because you may say, well, my goodness, well, why? I've been doing these things, and these things are not happening to me. I'm not getting these, be mindful and be on guard against that, because it'll try to creep in that way. To where you're saying, well, I'm doing it, and I'm not getting this reaction. I'm not getting these results. I would encourage you this day to hold fast and hold firm to your belief and to your doings and to your exercises and to your techniques. Because if one technique is not working, you can always tweak it and change it. You see what I mean? Maybe certain sounds are more effective depending upon your tribal affiliation. See what I mean? So there's so many variances that can take place. But as long as you, quote unquote, at the end of the day are happy with self and happy within yourself and love yourself, I tell you that love factor is key, isn't it? Here's a question I have for you today. How many of you in this room right now would be, honest to say you use the word love? You actually say the word love at least once a day. How many of you say, I do say the love? I say the word love at least once a day. How many of you actually put up a 1 or put up a L, whatever you want to do, capital L, if you actually say to someone else and you in a phrase or in a sentence that you love them or that I love whatever, is that you actually use the word love. Now, this maybe something that you want to take with you in these next 6 days of labor up ahead. And I would encourage you all to begin to even use the word love and say it at least once a day, if not many more times a day. You must, I tell my wife this every single day, more than one time, but I do tell her that I love her. And I tell Nakshan he's the love of my life. I tell him my little 15-year-old, you're the love of my life. Baruch Hashem, bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. You shall be called Nakshan, and you're the love of my life. He sits there and he starts smiling. I see his little smile. But begin to incorporate love, not only in your saying, but what you're going to learn in this Parsha as we peel away at the layers, but also in your doing as well. It's good to say love. How many of you been there, done that? Like Tina Turner says, what does love have to do with it? If you just say love, but you don't do love. Get it? I told Tina many times, Tina Turner, the famous singer, Told a minute, oh, baby, I love you. But at the same time, he's beating up on her, hitting her upside the head and smacking her, giving her a black eye. I mean, if that's the case, then what does love have to do with it? Because the doings don't match up with, again, people have a skewed definition of love, don't skew. Some folks have a skew, and what God's saying, what interpretation of what love really is. You see, so again, you have to look at it from that standpoint as well, students of human nature. I know women who sit there and tell me, oh, I love to be abused. That's a skewed interpretation of love, isn't it? But that's their interpretation. Maybe because they've never seen real love on display. That's why it's important that we do love. But to do love, you must begin to say love. Because words have power, don't they? So we must begin to apply and begin to utilize love in our daily living by beginning to say love. Oh, I love you. Oh, I love you. I leave people like that. I tell them, hey, man, I love you. They say, what the hell? No, I love you. That's foreign to some people because they have a skewed meaning or a skewed definition of love. But to back that up, you have to begin to do love. Show love in your doing and what you do. But we must be mindful of the word love every day, daily. You say it or use it daily with intent and direction. That's important. Remember, our Kohen told us some words and chanting some of our letters, our words and our phrases. He was chanting it with the wrong thinking or the wrong intent. He said that was a mistake. The word with good intent. You know what I mean? Don't sit here and tell a married woman that you love them. You're channeling that with the wrong intent because you may be trying to break up a happy home. You see what I mean? It must be. So when we utilize our words and our phrases, and make sure in our letters that we're doing it. Those 22 characters are powerful, aren't they? We must do it with intent and direction. Like I Kohen talked about, I heard him say the word focus. I had to get the right focus. I have to be focused. In my chant, I tell you, when I'm my chanting, I'm going through my 22 beat, my 108 beats. I see my third eye is seeing and envisioning, and in the back of my mind, I'm speaking to myself and saying, I am in that fully paid for home. I am driving that fully paid for car that I am. You see, I am that fully paid for car. I am that fully paid for home as I'm going through and clicking off those beads up sandalwood beads that have been dipped in the coconut oil and sat out in the sun. And so it's being supercharged. So, I don't want to let my beads go because, like I talked about, they're charged up and they're ready. And they've been put through the fires. So be mindful and be of one mind. Don't be saying one thing, but your mind is somewhere else. That you're losing your focus there. We must focus in, family. We must focus in and with intent and with direction. That you know where you want, those words to go and how you want the power of those words to be used because you're already, directing it. In that fully paid for house that you desire. In that fully paid for car that you want. In that beautiful woman or man that you desire for yourself. In that particular awesome job, 6-figure, 7-figure, or maybe even 5-figure job that you desire for yourself. Channel it with direction and focus. And always be mindful of the negativity. You don't want to be, going through your chanting and with negativity on the mind. Because then, like I said, that could produce bad results or results that are unfavorable to what you desire. But at the same time, you can say, you probably saying to yourself, well, my goodness, that's what I was thinking about. Focus. Focus. You want money to run to you, not run away from you in your relationship with money. So we must be doing the correct things. Daniel is saying, a.k.a. 12 Walker, saying, in my humble opinion, one of the most unusual, uncomfortable ways that I say love, is to say it to yourself, to a man or a woman in the mirror every day, or to say it, I am love, in affirmations. So it is good to practice it, especially when looking at yourself physically, regardless of how you may feel at the time. I struggle with it at times when I don't feel all that great emotionally speaking. Oh, indeed, that's a great way, Daniel, to charge yourself up with self-love. Because one of the key things to really having a relationship with self and subconscious is that you got to love self, right? We talked about this way back in the day. And for some, it may be difficult. So I would encourage you to stay the course. Because some folks in their experiences, in their periods of their life, they haven't had an experience of love. They had just the opposite, an experience of hate. You see? We see that with the Pharaohs in this Parsha. You see the love Pharaoh that had known Joseph, and then you see the hate Pharaoh that had not known Joseph and was new. and he didn't like what was going on. Negative forces came in. Negativity, jealousy, envy, worry. He's worried about his kingdom being taken over. You see? Be mindful of these things going forward, and that these energies are always around. You just have to know how to deal with them. And our Kohen, all praises be to his name, our Kohen, Rabbi Simon Altaf, has equipped us with the proper tools to be able to deal with these negative forces as they come up in our lives. But when you begin and you know that you love yourself, then that love can be portrayed out. But if you don't have love within, what do you think is going to be portrayed without? You may say it, but it has no substance to it. You say, well, I love you. Then it holds no weight. You know what I mean? Shabbat shalom to you, Simha. In the valley, but on top of the mountain, right, Simha? So it's important for us to understand these things. You know, as we are students of applying the perfect law in our lives. That's key, family, is that we have to apply the perfect law and apply it in the correct way. Now, that may vary amongst the family members, and that's okay. And those of you listening via YouTube and catch it live on Facebook, you'll probably, affirm this as well, is that, certain things work for me, whilst I'm hearing from other family members, certain things work for them as well. Answers are coming in quicker for others, whilst for others, answers may be coming in a little bit more slower. Or let's just say the results may come a little bit more slower, but so be it. I would encourage you to stay the course. Because all around you there's going to be negativity. Negativity is going to try to creep in. And that brings me to our verse in the Abrahamic-Faith Bible, the great scroll, when we look at our holy books. Towards the end of this Parsha, we begin to look at, you see, let's just take the scenario. Moses and Aaron go in and they begin to talk to Pharaoh to let the children of Israel go. Let his people go so they can go out and pay homage and begin to worship, the creator of all things, the creator of the heavens and the earth, and the God of Israel, because there's, many creators out there. Yeah. But then, instead of things getting better, how many of you can empathize and sympathize with this? Instead of things getting better once Moses goes into Pharaoh, things actually get worse. How many of you have experienced that situation in your experiences? And this is why I'm being your biggest cheerleader this day once again. I'm putting the pom-poms on. I won't put the tutu on. I'll put the spandex pants on, but I'm not going to put the tutu on. But I'm going to hold the pom-poms in my hand and be your biggest cheerleader and tell you this: stay the course. You see this with Moses as well. in dealing with the children of Israel. You know, because the children of Israel had forgotten who they were. And then now they want to go through this, well, give us some proof, you see. Yeah, you're saying you're a messenger of God, of Israel, but prove it. And look at Exodus chapter 5. Look at the end of chapter 5, going into chapter 6 as well. Well, Pharaoh goes on to tell him, look, in verse 16 of chapter 5, there is no new straw given to your servants, as they say to us, make brick, and indeed your servants are beaten. But the fault is on your people. Look at verse 17. But he said, you are idle. You are idle. Therefore I say, let us go and sacrifice to Yahweh. Look at verse and work. For no straw shall be given to you, yet you shall make the quota. You shall make the quota of the bricks. You see, making work more harder, not smarter, but making the Israelites, the children of Israel, work more harder. You see, many times you're going to find that what folks don't understand, Israel went into Egypt not as slaves, but as what? They went in not as slaves. They went in with fame, not with fright. They went from fame to fright, but they went in to Egypt with riches. They didn't go into Egypt with rigor, but they went from riches to rigor. So not so much emphasis is placed on the riches side. When Israel, when Jacob and his family went into Egypt on the coattails of Joseph, the man sitting next to the man. But they focus a lot on the rigor part. Oh man, we were slaves, man, and we were slaves on top of slaves in Egypt. I haven't visited Egypt yet. Anybody in this room visited Egypt? But I do want to visit Egypt. I will visit Egypt with my family. I want to see Egypt. Egypt had deep history. This room has visited either, right? But Egypt has a deep history. Our forefathers were in Egypt for a long time. So this is one of the countries on my map to visit as well. To visit Egypt. Our forefathers went into Egypt rich. With rigor, we went into on the coattails of Joseph. But that fame changed the flame. And the riches changed to rigor, as we read in our holy books. So we see that the work was gonna be, you got the same production, but with less material, but you got to produce the same amount. And the people come in with the negativity. Oh my goodness, here they go. Look at verse 20 of Exodus chapter 5. Then as they came out from Pharaoh, they met Moshe. They met Moses. They met Musa and Aaron, who stood there to meet them. Look what they said in 21. You see the negativity? You see, you have to guard against it. But look what they said in 21. And they said to them, let Yahweh look on you and judge, because you have made us abhorrent in the sight of Pharaoh and in the sight of the servants, to put a sword in their hands to kill us. Look at verse 22. So Moshe, let's see the people, negativity, guard against this. These are the same people that Moses is saving, but they're not on board with Moses. You're going to find that as well. A lot of people around you not going to be on board with you, but they quote unquote call themselves your family members. But they're not on board. They're not supportive. They're very unsupportive of you. They're very negative to you and around you. You don't need that negativity around you. So what does Moses do with the 22 of chapter 5 of Exodus? So Moshe returned to Yahweh and said, Yahweh, why have you brought me trouble? Why have you brought trouble on this people? Why is it you have sent me? My goodness. Moses, have you forgotten your purpose? But that's what happens when negativity comes around you. You start to change what you say because you begin to believe in what these people are saying. Yeah, it's physical. It's physical. It's real. Reality is that they have to make the same bricks with less material. Better meet your quota, or you be beating some more. Or rigor on top of rigor on top of rigor, right? And look what Moses goes on further to say, verse 23 in our Abrahamic-Faith Bible. For since I came to Pharaoh to speak in your name, he has done evil to this people. Neither have you rescued your people at all. My goodness. Patience, young grasshopper. We got to get everybody on board. We have to get everybody has to be on board. Well, the majority. Sometimes that takes time for people to get on board. Sometimes it may take time for your affirmations to see manifestation. Don't stay the course. Stay the course. Don't give in. Don't give up. Don't let Father Time deceive you and hoodwink you and bamboozle you and be a stumbling block. Well, I don't know. Look, I'm seeing all these other students of Rabbi Simon. I'm seeing them. There's great things happening. We got some of the family that's shaking during their affirmation. We got other family that's seeing visions and getting all these, being able to prophesy and seeing things, seeing all, why ain't anything happening to me? I'm not seeing anything. You see this. The negativity creeping in. Moses got it from the people, the negative, this to the negative side. Some of you look at the housing market, you want to get a house, you're like, man, I'm doing these affirmations for this house, but everybody, there's such a saturation on people wanting to buy homes, and there's such a low supply of homes. So I don't understand how I'm going to get this house, my dream house. I'm not seeing it. Stay the course. Keep believing. Keep your belief meter high. How do you do that? Like, you keep manifesting. You keep on, you're chanting and your sounds. You keep saying them, your letters. You keep saying, speak the words. Spoken word. Let your words be positive, not negative. Don't ever give up on yourself. Don't ever give in on what you desire for yourself. Believe in yourself. Love yourself. There's a lot of lost love out there. We have found our love. We love ourselves and we believe what we love and we believe what we love in. And so if you believe love, I tell you, what a beautiful illustration of the story that Kohen said. If you usher in and open up and embrace love, everything else is going to come to you. Brooke, that's beautiful. But when you just have wealth and success in your house and you don't get that much success or sometimes you fail, then what do you have to fall back on? Not loving yourself? Yah forbid. Love yourself. Believe me, times are going to get hard. I've been with HaKohen, not as long as Rabbi Zechariah, but I've been with HaKohen a good minute. And HaKohen picked me to be one of his students. And I'm so grateful for it. And I've seen in my relationship with the Kohen, I've seen many ups and downs, but we have stayed steadfast. We haven't went anywhere. It's seen the ups and downs and the ebbs and flows that HaKohen has experienced, some personal in his life and some being right there with him. Some he hadn't even told me about. But I've seen it, but he's steadfast. He is sure as the rise in the east and set in the west. He's that sure. And I'm right there with him. And I've seen it. People come and people go. People bring in and usher in negativity and strife and envy and slander. But he's still here. And I'm right here with him. You're going to have these experiences. Stay the course. These experiences make you stronger. You win and you learn, don't you? You never lose. There's no losers here. You listening via YouTube. You listening via Facebook. You're not. You treat yourself. Trick or treat. I'm great. No room for losing. But again, Moses is having to ask these questions. And then the Most High, the powers of Israel, put him back on point, put him back on focus. Yeah, the rescue hadn't come yet, but listen, Moses, in chapter 6 of Exodus, verse 1, and the closing, the conclusion of the Parsha, this is what he says here. Then Yahweh said to Moshe, now you shall see what I shall do, what I will do to Pharaoh. For with a strong hand he will let you go, and with a strong hand he will drive them out of this land with a sword. It's that strong hand. And you know, I was reading that Parsha, and it brought me to, I had just completed my Gimel chanting on my 108 beats. And Gimel is a powerful, powerful word. It's a powerful, powerful letter within our Hebrew characters. How many of you done the Gimel? You've been through a cycle of the Gimel yet? Gimel. If you understand and you see, if you look in your Abrahamic-Faith Bibles, my goodness. And you see the ancient symbol for the Gimel is that outstretched hand. Woo-wee! I've seen that work in my life just that same way. That outstretched arm, right, Eddies? My goodness, that's powerful. I would encourage you to add the Gimel in your cycle when you've completed some cycles. On your 108 beads, it's powerful. It truly is powerful. The outstretched hand is there for you. Don't give up on it. Love Gimel. Don't be caught up on Father Time. Don't be caught up, well, on things are getting worse. They're not getting better, Rabbi. Ooh-wee, that's fuel for me right there. That's the kryptonite that I need. No, that's not the kryptonite. Because that weakens you. That weakens Superman, the kryptonite. But that's what strengthens me. Oh, things are getting difficult? Hallelujah. Stay the course. Rabbi Benir says it this way. When you're going through your so-called proverbial hell, just keep walking. And that's the cycle I'm in right now. I'm in my AN cycle. How many of you done your AN cycle on your 108 beads? I tell you. Well, I'm on my AN cycle and I'm on my Aleph cycle. That's where I'm at right now, Aleph. I tell you what, every time I envision that Aleph, I see that man running. I see that man or that woman, the depiction, in all full disclosure, and the depiction, I see someone running. Or someone walking or running. And that just gives me encouragement. It gives me encouragement when I say the Aleph. That I'm to walk. I'm not to bend down and fall down and not get back up, but I'm to walk this walk. And I'm to do it. I'm to apply it. Ooh-wee. That's good stuff, isn't it? But it's powerful. More than being good, it's just super powerful. When you truly begin to love our way of life and our heritage, and not just saying that you love, but you begin to do. You begin to do your love. And I want to look at some examples of that doing of the love that we see in this Parsha. They're so beautiful. So beautiful. We look at Exodus chapter 1, and let's start at verse 7. And the children of Israel were fruitful and blessed abundantly, multiplied and grew exceedingly mightily, and the land was filled with them. We look at verse 8. Now there arose a new king over Mitzrayim, over Egypt, over Mitzrayim. You see, and that's going to be part of the issue as well, is that people fear what they do not understand. This is why it's so very important that we have an understanding, Mishpahah. A lot of the misrelations in life is based upon a lack of understanding. Or another word that you can pull out of the Webster Dictionary is ignorance, that you just do not know. You're ignorant, you don't understand. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean that in all humility, is that a whole lot of relationships and just torn to tatters based upon not having an understanding. What is required to have an understanding is that two people must come together and have a conversation. Communication is key to a relationship. This is why I truly have a respect for what Daniel, a.k.a. Tor Walker, said earlier. He talked about, just saying love to yourself with the man or the woman in the mirror. Let's communicate with yourself. I am love. And me and love will have a relationship that's going to last forever. Regardless of what your experience has been, going through your proverbial, what you may understand of as love. Well, he said he loved me, Rabbi, but he treated me real bad. And now I have made a vow that I'll never love anybody else again. Oh, that's foolish. Based upon a bad experience. See, this is when you have to remember the olive and get back up. And become that woman that's going to walk and stand tall and run. And say, you know what? I chalk this up as a great experience. Now it's time for me to move on. Sometimes I win and sometimes I learn. And I have learned what kind of man I don't want, right? Or what kind of woman I do not want. Now let me go find the woman that I do desire. Now let me manifest that man that I do want. Hashem. That is going to make me happy, give me peace, love, and joy. I see him already. I see her already. Now let me just reel her in, Rabbi Zakar. Hashem. You're with me. But people fear what they do not understand. You see, when the new king came in, he did not know Joseph, didn't know the children of Israel. But what he did know, let's keep reading in chapter 8 of Exodus, to his people. And he said to his people, look, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Wow, I wonder where that comes from. Children of the covenants, baby. Same as you and I, children of the covenants, children of the covenants, the covenants. You've seen the covenants, being displayed in reality. Man, these people are more, and they're mightier than we are. So how do we fix that? Well, again, remember I talked to you and told you about earlier. Be mindful of the negativity that creeps in. When you're more and you're mightier and things are working out and your manifestations are coming in, mighty manifestations are coming in like no man's business, what are people going to do? They're going to look at your family and they're going to be envious of you. Some may be jealous of you. Some may even hate you for that. And so what are they going to try to do? Tear you down. They're going to try to do that. Look at Exodus chapter 1, verse 10. Come, let us deal wisely with them, lest they become large. And if it comes to be, in the event of war, that they may join our enemies and fight against us. And so go up and out of the land. Look at verse 11. You see what I mean? See, because there's no communication, because in the relationship, people began to think all these weird things. Like Israel's going to come up against you. I mean, Israel went into Egypt and is grateful to Egypt. Israel went into Egypt rich. But do you see people's mindset? People begin to think it. And you see their minds are taken. When you get on the negative side, there's many different rabbit holes you can go down. How many of you at one time or another may have had thoughts? You have, let's just say you've had thoughts and you've exercised and you spent a lot of energy on those thoughts, but them thoughts never came to manifestation. Yet you were thinking that a scenario was going to turn out this way, and you spent a lot of energy on it. You're like, man, I'm going to go in there to the boss. Oh, the boss called me to his office. Let me think. developing all these scenarios that are negative. Oh, the boss is going to tell me he's going to dock my pay, or, they're going to downsize and I'm going to be furloughed, or, blah, blah, blah. And then when the scenario played out in reality, you went in and the boss went in to give you a raise and said you were the employee of the month and you got a raise and blah, blah, blah. Never turned out how you were thinking it was going to be. Sometimes your thoughts, can put you in a negative way when the results were positive. Guard against the negative thoughts. Wasting time on periods of your life, on energy, on things that will never happen. Life is like that sometimes. Is that we focus on, or we put our energies, or say like we're just there. Thank God Hakohen has given us structure and guidance and instruction on how to utilize our time and take control of our mind and use it as a wonderful tool that it is. But sometimes you just sit there, your mind will just go places. I mean, you'll crop up events that have never happened and will never happen, but yet your mind is there running these events through you. And you're like, what the heck? Let me change this up really quick. Let me focus on something positive. Let me go back and focus and concentrate on my affirmations and see them and visualize them coming in. And then you start to get a sense of happiness and joy, because you see that house that you're in already and you get happy, and you're driving that car that you always wanted, and you're hugged up next to that man or that woman that you always wanted, and you begin to get happy. You must begin to change the scene, flip the script. But don't come up with all these, oh man, I'm going to go in there, oh, I got a fight on my hands, I got to go in here and begin to fight, blah, blah, blah. And that's not what it is. That's not even what it's about. We look at Exodus chapter 2, verse 11, where, the new Pharaoh goes on to make these plans and put them into action. Therefore, they set taskmasters over them to afflict them with their burdens. And they built for Pharaoh supply cities and Pithom and in Ramses. Look at verse 12. But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew. And they were in dread of the children of Israel. These are people who were quote unquote slaves, yet the owners of them are in dread of them. They're totally in fear of these people that they have subdued, quote unquote. Does that not relate to some of you and some experiences in your life? To where the more, and you haven't done nothing to these people, but you continue to do what you need to do with your life. And you continue to be happy while everybody else is running in fear and in hatred and in anger. You just continue to live your life. And people are throwing everything at you but the kitchen sink. And even sometimes they're throwing that at you. At times you feel. But yet you continue to stand and you continue to flourish and nourish. And you continue to thrive in the midst of a plague, in the midst of a pandemic, in the midst of dark times. You're light, and light is all around you, and your success and your abundance, and you're going from strength to strength. And people are looking like, what the heck? There's a plague and everybody's getting all these infections, but yet this man or this woman over here, he's totally successful, starting up businesses, doing other people, happy and humble, full of peace and love and joy. What the heck is going on? That's in your DNA, Mishpahah. You move from strength to strength. Nothing can keep you down but yourself, Israel. Israel had to realize this the hard way. And because Israel continued to put itself down, guess what? They continue to be down. Because Israel continued to doubt. Oh, man. Instead of things getting better, they get worse. And guess what? Because you spoke it, things are going to get even worse for you. But rescue has always been there. You just have to be willing to receive and accept rescue and think on rescue and speak rescue. Don't speak, oh man, our problems are getting worse, but then guess what's going to happen? your problems are going to get worse. And when you begin to really ridicule the leadership in Moses and Aaron, put them down, what do you expect to happen? Do you expect your periods of success to speed up or to be, or lag? Don't come from a spirit of lack. Come from a spirit of love. Come from a spirit of trust. Oh, Moses, we trust in you. Yeah, we understand. Pharaoh and them are a little bit mad right now. They'll get over it. What's our next move, Moses? We're going to stand with it. Didn't hear none of that. Didn't hear none of that. The majority, or as they say, the consensus was, oh, man, Moses, get out of our face. You've made our problems worse. Now they're going to want to kill us. We don't get this done and still meet our quotas with less material. They want to kill us. I'm paraphrasing. Wrong mindset. Where's the support in all this? Support your leader. Stand up for your Moses. Stand up for your Aaron and say, hey, we're with you. We got this. Look, they've been doing this to us all this long. I mean, come on, man. What else can they do to us? And yet we still continue to multiply. Continue to grow. What the heck? The more affliction, the better it is. Look at your situations the same. Don't let Father Time come in and be a stumbling block in your way. Just say, hey, the more, that it continues to look like things are not going to happen my way, the more I believe they are going to happen my way. Make your reality real. Don't look at what's real in front of you and call it your reality. It doesn't have to be that way. You create your reality. You have the DNA of El Shaddai. You have the ability to create. You are creators, whether you want to believe it or not. It's just that what are you creating for yourself? Fluff or favor? What are you doing? Because at the end of the day, when you look at your situation and you look where you are right now, in the Brit 2021, you are where you are because of you. You can't sit here and blame nobody else, YouTubers, Facebookers. You can't blame nobody else. You can't blame the Republican. You can't blame the Democrat. You can't blame the man. You can't blame slavery. You cannot blame it. You got to begin like talked about. You got to begin to look at yourself in the mirror and say, look at what I put myself in. Now, how am I going to get myself out of this? What are we going to do? We're going to begin to infuse love. Love does conquer all. When you have love at your baseline, everything else will follow. My goodness, how beautiful that story was. Let your foundation be love, and everything else will follow. Not hate, as the new Pharaoh hated, envy, worried about, hanging on to his possessions. You see what I mean? This new Pharaoh didn't have love on his heart. You see where we're going? And so he was focused on his what? On his fortune. Not love. He put the children of Israel in rigor because of his fortune. He's worth kingdom, not love of his fellow man. Who would enslave their fellow man and do injustices against their fellow man and kill all these babies and have, come on, man. Like President Biden says, man, we can't be like that. Again, be mindful of this, Mishpachah, in your lives and in your daily living. This is why I would truly admonish you family members and stuff. Focus on love. So like Akoy said in his lecture, I totally get that. Begin to say love in your life, in your relations. I love you. I love you. Oh, I love you. I want you to put that to practice this 6 days of labor. Tell me how it goes for you with people that are around you. So what kind of responses that you're going to get in your relationships? Run around telling people that you love them. Man, I love you. And you men in the room, That should not be difficult for you, because the mantra is that men have a difficult time saying love. And that should not be the case for the children of Israel, because that's our baseline. Exodus chapter 1, verse 13. So the Mitzrayim, the Egyptians, made the children of Israel serve with rigor. Went from riches to rigor, right? They hated on you when you had the riches. You multiplied and you grew. People hate on that. And so what they want to do, they want to try to introduce the negative side to you. They want to bring you in rigor now. Oh, I'm going to make your life difficult, so you think. And the minute you begin to say that, family, the minute you begin to believe that, they say, man, why would my life become so difficult for me to get a... You see, now you're becoming negators of the Torah. Difficulty is not a part of the Torah. that you're not speaking the Torah. You can't be children of Israel and talk about some difficulty. And become in the house of... It's not difficult. The burden is easy. The yoke is light. Baruch Hashem. When does it become... Don't use that word. Don't say that word. Don't even imagine difficult. It's not difficult. It's just totally easy. My life is easy. Life is easy. Are you going to have ups and downs? Hell yes. You're going to have that. But your life can still be easy as you go through those things. And you can gain experience from those things. You don't lose anything. You gain experience. Because you're a winner and you're great. And you always win and you're always great. But you'll have those moments, Mishpahah. I'm going to tell you this. Those moments are going to creep in. You're human beings, Mishpahah. Now, Hakoyin has equipped us with the tools that's going to help us be able to deal when those moments do come in, recognize, and then begin to react in a positive way. That's going to help you, get through those times and those moments. To really begin to show your greatness in reality, HD quality in reality. 5G, 6G, whatever else is out there. Exodus chapter 1, verse 14. And they made their lives bitter with hard bondage, in mortar and in brick, and in all manner of service in the field. All their service, which they made them serve, was with rigor. Been there, done that, but don't focus on that. Focus on what was told to Moses by the Master Yahweh, by Yahweh, by the powers of Israel, with that mighty right hand, that Gemil, that mighty right hand. You have that mighty right hand with you now to weld and get you out of any kind of predicament that you're in, any kind of desire, dream that you desire for yourself. It's available to you. In Gregory's 2021, it is available to you now. Always remember, riches to rigor, or rigor to riches, however you want to put it. But because you have the covenants, and because you have embraced the covenants, you will always be wealthy. You will always be rich. That's a part of the covenants. But what needs to be put on point is this factor, is that you must love the covenants. You must love the covenants. You must love this way of life. You must love the way of Abraham. You must embrace it. And when you truly love something, well, I know a lot of folks may be saying this. This may be a question that may be out there for a lot of folks. Is, Rabbi, I don't even know how to love. I've never experienced love before in my life. I've always experienced the other side. I don't know how to love. What is love? Then it goes back to the baseline. You know what love is? Love is when you have peace. Love is when you have joy. Love is when you're happy. Do those things, and believe me, love, you will attract love to you. Find out the things in your life that gives you peace, that makes you happy, that gives you joy. And believe me, you have embraced love, and you're in the bosom of love. It's going to vary amongst the mishpachah, amongst the family. It's going to vary amongst the individuals. What gives them peace? What gives them love? What gives them joy and what gives them happiness? But believe me, when you find those things, you'll be in the wheelhouse of love. You will be. And that's when you'll know, oh, okay, this is what love is. Well, I've been with this man, Rabbi, for so long, and I've just been so unhappy. Well, you haven't found love. But he tells me he loves me. Well, love put in a physical presentation and manifestation is not, it's not love for you, and you're not happy. And love will bring you happiness. Love will bring you peace. It will bring you peace, Mishpah. And this is the ground roots. This is the foundation for the perfect law. It's for you to be able to love. Outside of you, you got to be able to love yourself first. Israel lost that. The children of Israel, they're making bricks now, man. Their focus is on rigor, not love. Their focus is on fright, not fame. They're afraid. Oh man, come on, man. Now you're making more trouble for us, Moses. We're already trouble. Now it's trouble on top of trouble. And now we got to do things with less material. Come on, man. Moses, you're supposed to be our savior. Where's the rescue? There's no rescue. Man, and now they got a knife to our necks now. We don't produce. No belief. No belief in Moses. They didn't have belief in themselves. They only looked at what they could see and what was physically in front of them. That they had no ability to create whatsoever. Christ had to come and infuse this within them and tell them, no. You're not brick makers. Come on, you're more than this. You're the children of Israel. Family of Jacob. Stand up. Oh, they couldn't. They were too busy kneeling. That's all they. The conditioning over time. Making bricks. Start that. The conditioning over time with us in the nations, dispersed and scattered. We lost our ability to really know how powerful we really are. But guess what? The Levites have come back once again. Hashem, to tell us who we are, to show us who we are, and to tell us and to give us instruction on how we are to live, so that we can be the success that we are, so that we can multiply, so that we can grow. That's why you're here, Mishpah. You want to multiply and grow. You don't want to divide. You don't want to subtract. You don't want to be negators of the Torah. You want to be upholders of the Torah. You want to leave a legacy. I would encourage you all. I go out at night and I look at the stars. I like to do that a lot with my son. We go out at night, and Nakshan, he's always good to point out the moon. He knows where the moon is. He'll go out there and he'll find the moon real quick. He likes to look at it. He knows about the moon and the sun. When we go out there and we just look at the stars. And I go out there and I say, I invoke the God of my forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, in my life. In my life. Now, I'm always looking towards Israel. Always looking towards the east from where I'm at in the garden. And I always look towards Israel. That's just what I do. And I like to do it. My little neighborhood is so peaceful and so quiet. You get there and you connect with the universes, because you are connected to the universes. You feel the energy, as some of the students here have felt the energy and the power of creation. Of the 22 characters of our language. I tell you, it's beautiful. It's beautiful, Mishpah. When you truly know and you connect with, I tell you, I love it. I love our way of life. I love our way of life. I truly do love it. And it has become me, and I have become it. And the it has become one. And we're together forever in harmony, in all humility, and all happiness. That's real. No chasing, no ambulance chasing of religion here. I've been there, done that. Like Akoi said in his lecture, it is fluff at the end of the day. But before, I want to close with giving some examples in this Parsha of the love factor, the do love example. First of all, I want to start with the midwives. That's a great example in our Parsha of the do love example. Exodus chapter 1, verse 18. So the king of Mizraim called the midwives and said to them, "Why have you done this thing and rescued the male children alive?" This is the do love. This is the doing of the love. Yeah, you say you love God, but these women, these midwives were examples of the do love. I'm gonna do it. You going against the word of a king, knowing that you could be killed. All the negative factors that could come into play. Ooh, if I don't obey, what can happen to me? Oh my goodness. I've seen this Pharaoh, and he's just an evil, wicked man. And if I don't do what he says, then that's my life. But these women, look what they said. And the king come to, "Why have you disobeyed me and rescued the male children alive?" Look at verse 18 of our Abrahamic-Faith Bible. And the midwife said to Pharaoh, because the honorable women are not like the mitzvah of the mitzvah of the Egyptian women, for they are lively and give birth before the midwives can come to them. Look at verse 20. Therefore Elohim dealt well with the midwives, and the people multiplied and grew very mightily. Because two women said that they love Yahweh more than they love, the king and his edicts and his verdicts and the king that can kill them for not obeying his word, because they love the words of the Most High, the God of Israel, even more. That's the do love factor. Look at verse 21 of Exodus chapter 1. And so it was, because the midwives feared Elohim, that he provided households for them. Yeah, there's more to that than just a household for them. It is deeper than that. But do you see the do love factor being played out? These women, amongst great odds and great power that could come, they defied the words of a king to rescue the male children alive, because they listened more to the words of the true king of all kings, Mukashem, the power above all powers that they have in Egypt and elsewhere in the world. So that's one example. Let me give you one more example of the do love factor. And this is outside of the family. Great example. This is what some would call, what we know of as a convert in a way. But look at Exodus chapter 2. Let's look at verse 5. And the daughter of Pharaoh came down to wash herself at the river, and her maidens walked along the riverside. And when she saw the ark amongst the reeds, she sent her maid to get it. Look at verse 6. And when she opened it and saw the child, and behold, the baby wept, and she had compassion on him and said, "Is this one of the Hebrew children?" When she opened it up, and she knew, just like the midwives knew what was the verdict. The edict was that all male children would be killed. And she knew the law that was put down by Pharaoh, but she had what? She had compassion on them. The do love factor. To have compassion. See, this is not love just saying, "Oh, I love you." This is love coming up against, serious and powerful, forces, and still doing what? Still standing and still going to do what's right and have compassion. Took the child in as her own. Isn't that something? That's beautiful, isn't it? Now, we understand from the great tutelage and teachings that we get from our Kohen that this woman was a convert in the way. And I guarantee you that herself, she was manifesting and she was affirming a male son for herself as well. And guess what comes her way down the river? A male son. Baruch Hashem. Because she desired that male son for herself. Yet a lot of times I hear today, in today's society, you are a mistake. They tell us to their children. Oh, you were an accident. How many of you have heard that before? Come from people's mouths about their children. Oh, you were an accident. You were a mistake. You weren't supposed to happen. Are you freaking kidding me? Here's this woman. She manifests. She wants a child, a male son. That's what she wants, what she desires for herself. And guess what? Come floating down the river. And this woman had compassion on this baby. Hebrew baby, Abraham. This woman is an Egyptian. What the heck is going on? You see, don't worry too much about the how. Focus on what you want. The how, a Hebrew baby gonna come floating down the river? Ha, 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 ha. She couldn't have believed that if she could have seen it coming, right? Focus on, well, how am I going to get this son that I want? I want a son. I want a son. I want a son. Here come a son floating down the river for you. Beautiful son at that. Full disclosure, my son is beautiful too. I think all Hebrew babies are just beautiful, man. They're just, man. So when the Torah talks about beautiful, I tell you, they're telling me, oh, you ought to put your son in commercials. Oh, he's so beautiful. He's so handsome. It's a Hebrew baby. Right out of our books, man. I'm telling you, right out of our books. And the baby was beautiful. You can't drown a beautiful baby. Come on now. You can't keep a beautiful baby down. Baruch Hashem. Hebrew baby was just beautiful. Because they come from them lively mothers. Baruch Hashem. So we see this. Let me see what Simha wrote here. One must give permission to love oneself in order to give love to others. You can give true love by practice. You are a gift to you from Hashem. Baruch Hashem. Let's give ourselves as a gift back to Hashem to show love to the world we live in. For the name's sake, Hashem, Baruch Hashem, love and light. Thank you for that, Simha, to Rabbi. We must love oneself. That's what it all comes back to. Now, I know for a lot of folks, that's easier said than done. And this is not going to happen overnight. You know, you have to work at this. As you must practice this. As Simha said, you must put this to practice. You must put it into play. But once that you know that you love yourself, and nobody can tell you that you don't love yourself, and you're at a state of peace, love, you're at a state of peace and happiness and joy, then you know you're there. You're in the wheelhouse. You're home with yourself. And then the do love actions begin to come out, and you begin to do great things, and you begin to have compassion in your life. You begin to do compassion. Just like the daughter of Pharaoh. You begin to do compassion against what they say is right and what the law is. You're compassionate towards all people, all humanity. Torah in this example of the do love factor is telling us many, many different things on many different levels. One, you see the compassion within the midwife, within the family, you see the compassion of the children of Israel. But also, Torah is also telling us and giving us a great lesson that compassion can be given outside. You see, what I want all of you to understand, listening via YouTube and listening via Facebook as well, is that this is not an exclusive club here. The Torah is not exclusive. It's inclusive to all. To all. Well, I don't consider myself a child of Israel. Well, you can be. You can convert or revert. It doesn't matter. If you love and you embrace this lifestyle, this way of life, and it suits you, then welcome aboard. Convert, revert, doesn't matter. This is not an exclusive club. It's inclusive to all. You see, the reception that I received here in San Antonio from the quote-unquote supposed to be the children of Israel was, no, this is an exclusive boys club and you're not welcome, sir. That's really not welcome here. You know, it's because the first response I got was in a question form. Well, why are you here? I'm here to serve Hashem. No, you're not. This club is not for you. Well, why are you here? You're not supposed. Why are you here? And that was at a synagogue in San Antonio, Mishpahah. The question was, well, why are you here? I'm like, oh, okay. I feel like I'm not wanted here just by that question alone. Well, why are you here? Wow, what a question is that? Did Abraham ask that question as well? The father of our way of life? You see, that synagogue is not representation of the way of Abraham. That's just not. That synagogue is a house of religion. And so that rabbi, he did me an awesome favor. He really did. He really did. I admit to you, my feelings were kind of hurt. I was like, wait a minute. I want to serve the same Hashem you serve. But you see, the service has many different levels to it. And that would have just been, in my opinion, the ground roots, in the dirt level when I want to be soaring high as an eagle. And that's why I am with HaKohen. I'm soaring high as an eagle. I'm not at the ground roots dirt level. You know what I mean? I'm soaring high like the eagle. And you will hear me roar as well. Rigor. So, yeah, he did. But where was the compassion? I didn't have no compassion there. See, the do love factor, you see. So we need to consider these things going forward. And in closing, I would just like to encourage you all to stay the course. Stay the course. And no matter what may come your way, no matter what words may come your way, what people may say, I would encourage you all to recognize what people say and don't receive it. Because when you don't do that, you see, the importance of negativity is to have the power to negate negativity. You must negate it. You must stop it in its tracks. Recognize negativity, and you must totally stop negativity in its tracks. If you don't, negativity will assume that you receive it because you didn't stop it in its tracks and not receive it. You know what I mean? And then before you know it, you'll begin to think it and begin to fester, and it'll become a part of your thought process. Well, you know what? You know what she said? Man, what she said. And then you begin to think about it. Maybe she's right. Or maybe he's right what he said. Maybe I'm not going to be. Maybe my boss was right. I can't be successful. I need to just settle for where I'm at. Maybe my friends were right. Why am I trying to get this house? I'm never going to get that house. I need to be happier in this apartment where I'm at. House come with all the responsibility. They're right. Blah, blah, blah. You see? Before you know it, you begin to receive it. You see? So then you must be able to negate. You must be able to see, recognize students of human nature, and begin to negate the negativity. Children of Yisrael begin to negate the negativity. And then what do? You negate the negativity, and you combat the negativity with positivity. You go back to your affirmations. You go back to your baseline of what you really want with your life, and you begin to see those things as though they are, and they will be. But first you must see them, and then you begin to say those things, my goodness. And then you begin to do them. Stay the course, Mishpahah. Although people run, you're going to say many different things. Many different things. And you too, just like Moses, go back to HaKohen and ask why. Why isn't this working? Maybe you need to tweak something here and there. There's nothing wrong with asking why. There may be some specific areas or focal point areas. This is why testing is so important. So you can find out what works for you and what doesn't work for you. And what works for you, continue to do it. But what does it to the side? Move on to the next thing. The next technique. It can be more than one technique. But when you find out what works for you, my goodness, ride that horse home, baby. Ride it home. Ride it. When you find out what works for you, ride that horse home. So on that note, I'm going to wrap it up for this Shabbat on this end over here. I don't know if Akoin is still for the Mishpachah, and if he's still here, I'll let him close it out. If not, I'll close it out as well. Before we go, does anybody have any questions? We have a lot of valuable tools, and I know, give yourself opportunity to let these tools work for you. And whatever doesn't work for you, utilize some other tools. But don't give up, never give in, and deal with recognizing it, shutting it down, and continue to. Again, what did Yahweh do with Moses? He put him back on point. In Exodus chapter 6, verse 1, he said he put him back on what the focus is. Let's focus. Put him back on the focus. So, look, this is what's going to happen. The mighty right hand is going to come through. And you're going to see the mighty right hand work through Pharaoh. Mighty right hand is not going to come in and do something supernatural. Mighty right hand is going to come in and bend Pharaoh to where Pharaoh is going to say it with his own mouth. Look, get out of here. Take what you want and leave. See, through people, this is why it's so important that we have a relationship with people, with humanity, in a positive way. Because those same people come back and be your blessing, and be your benefactor, and be your beneficiary. See? Go and get that car, it's going to be through a person. You're going to go to the dealership, and guess what? You're going to talk to a person. When you go and establish that business, you're going to establish that business through a person. You're going to go get your particular property, or go through that person and get your LLC set up, and it's going to be run through a person. So it's very important that we establish great relations with people. Although these people may hate us, so be it. But they're going to sit there and watch us grow and multiply. That's just what's going to happen. In this season of what they call this COVID mumbo-jumbo plague, all that pandemic, whatever, you're going to grow and multiply, Israel. That's what's going to happen, right, Eddie? Eddie says, since you said, Rabbi Kefa, for a great year in the markets, I've already started off. And you're going to be bang, bang, choo-choo train all year, all Gregory's year. That's what's going to happen. And when you get your technique down, just rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. Wait on the market. Wait on the market. Wait on the market. When the market meets your criteria, you go in and you attack. You go in and you get those big bang wins. Don't chase the market. Just wait on it. Don't chase. Just wait on it. Follow your strategy, whatever it may be, and you will be highly successful. Be and believe in your strategy. It will work for you every single time. It will never fail you. Remember, you win and you learn. Mishpah. So on that note, and the strategy doesn't have to be in the markets. It can be whatever you like, whatever is your wheelhouse, whatever makes you happy, give you peace, love, and joy. Whatever does that, Mishpah. Believe in your strategy. Believe in your technique. And your technique will never let you down. Just believe in it. Well, you don't see all these negative points. Believe. Still stand. Remember, mighty right hand. And when you get to those low weak points, you may want to go back to chanting, the Gimel character on your 108 beats, just to give you some strength, and just so you can see that you got a helping hand, and that outstretched arm is there to help you. And it will help you. Invoke it and use it. Utilize it. Some of you may be saying, Rabbi, I do need some help. GMO chant will work for you. I do need that rescue, because right now I'm getting retaliation. Let's go out and let's go do great and marvelous things for ourselves. Let's love ourselves, love our families, and hey, man, we're going to have an awesome 2021 in Rigor this year. It's going to be awesome. You guys are going to gain, you guys are going to grow, and you guys are going to multiply. That's what we're about. That's who we are. That's the witness, that's the testimony to, the faith of Abraham. Period. That's not happening. Then you may want to go back and re-examine your faith place. That's wrong. But with it's the Levites that ushered the children of Israel, that set up the plan, that put it into motion for the children of Israel to get out of Egypt, to make their exodus. That's what happened. Who did it? The Levites. Through a man. It's all going to happen through a man. Through a man. Let's learn from that. Let's learn from our Torah. So many different lessons we can learn. But we'll take it bit by bit. Bit by bit. Bite by bite, right? So on that note, we'll wrap it up. Have a great 6 days of labor ahead. And a great Shabbat as you spend time with your family members, friends, and loved ones. Over to you, Akohim. And if he's not there, then I'm going to shut the room down. But if there's any questions, let's put them out now, or forever hold your peace for this time. Forever hold your peace.
Yeah, Todah for that, Rabbi Kefa. Okay, so what we'll do, those of you that came in probably on time, I did start a little earlier today, so you may have to go back and listen to the recording. At least I'd say the first 15-20 minutes, where you'll hear some testimonies which will be encouraging for you and uplifting, and will help to uplift you. Now remember, we are still in practice mode. We're still in testing mode as well. So there are some techniques that we have hands down on, and there are some techniques that are still in trial and test mode. And as they become practical, as they reveal their result, I will then illustrate what those techniques are. So this year we will probably be spending, in 2021, we will probably be spending again a lot of testing, trials, and of course the techniques that work. As I've told you before many times, that when you want to get a car, when you want to get a house, you will become that object, and you will get a house and you will get a car. So if you want to get a car, let's say it's a Ford truck, you will become that Ford truck. So you will say an affirmation in such a way, I am such and such Ford truck, whatever that Ford truck is. I am such and such house, whatever that house is. I am a 3-bedroom house. I am a Ford truck. I am a Mercedes. I am a BMW. I am a Chrysler. Whatever that model is that you desire, you become that. When you become that, you infuse your energy into that object, you speak it into the air, and then that object, remember, if you can store that object in your head, if you can store it in your head, if you can see it in your head, if you can see it in your mind's eye, and you feel it in your, like it's, it's there in front of you, it will conceptualize. You conceptualize it, the pregnancy will occur in your, it will occur in your third eye, it will occur in your subconscious, and the outcome will be in your hand. What about a spouse? Very, very easy. Very, very easy. To get a spouse, you're going to attract love. And in order to attract love, what I would suggest, Daniel, the way you would do it is very simple. It's actually, this has been tried and tested many, many times. And there is a little technique to it. There's a little technique to acquire a good spouse, because you don't want to just acquire a spouse. You want to acquire a loving spouse, somebody that understands you, somebody that will love you, somebody that will take care of you, and of course vice versa. So, and could be for a man. So don't just say a spouse, like that Christian lady that once told me, unless that man comes and sits in the middle of my room, I won't believe he's going to be my spouse. And that turned out really horrible for her, because he stole $50,000 from her and left. So you don't want a spouse, come and sit in the middle of your room and steal money from you and leave. So what you have to do, there is a technique. It's a candle technique. What you have to do is, I would suggest two things. I would suggest you get a rose flower, and a rose flower, red color, of course, if you can get it. Bring it, place it in front of you, get a red candle. Get a red candle. Now, there are two things that you need to understand. Now, the question is this: is there a single woman that you think will make you a good spouse? Or is this going to be a completely stranger that you believe will become your spouse? See, there are two things. Sometimes people, sometimes men know a woman that is single and they think she will become a great spouse to me. So they work on her rather than work against her. They work on her. Other times what happens is that you don't know who that woman is. She's a total stranger to you. So you're bringing in a total stranger as your spouse. So now see, there's two scenarios. There's one where you know the woman or the man, and there's one where you don't know who the woman or the man is. In either case, bring a red candle. Okay, bring a red candle. Bring a red flower. Now, that red candle that you have, you can buy those little candles from Walmart, and you can put them in a little jar, like a little candle holder, like those glass ones. I think the Walmart sell those glass types. Yeah, what you do is you put a little, you take a strip of paper and you write on it spouse, okay, because you don't know the name of the person. She's a total stranger to you. So because she's a total stranger, and if she was somebody you knew, then that would be a different matter. But because you don't know who she is, she's a total stranger, and you can write Aisha as well. And so you write spouse on there, just spouse or wife in English, and you place it on there. You tape it up, and you put, that's your red candle holder. And what you now do, you light your red candle. You have your little red flower there as well, a rose, potentially a rose if you can find one. If you can't find the rose, no problem, just do it with a candle. And once you start to look at the candle, your candle is lit up. Of course, have something, where the wick will, where the wax will go, so you're not putting it on your keyboard or something. So you'll have it in a plate or whatever holder with that little strip which says spouse, which says wife, or which says husband. Or you write some other things on it, like loving husband, loving spouse, understanding spouse, like that. Once you have that, you set your intention, you set your affirmation, and you say that I am with a beautiful, you're now going to say the I am version of it. I am with a beautiful spouse who loves me, who understands me, and we have a beautiful relationship together. This is your affirmation. I am with my beautiful spouse who loves me, who understands me, and we have a beautiful relation together. Something to that effect. You can modify the words. You can add and remove some words. It will be an I am affirmation. And once you do that, and you then light that candle, and you bring that candle in line with your third eye. You have it in front of you, in line with your third eye, and you make that chant. And you take your 108 beads, You take your 108 beads and you're going to do your affirmation 108 times. That affirmation you're going to write. Make sure it's not too big and too wordy, because it'll take you forever to do the 108. Make it short and sweet and succinct, so you can do it 108 times within 15-20 minutes. That's what you're going to have to do. When you do that with your red candle, and those of you who can't find a red candle, because maybe you're in a country that you can't find a red candle, then you can do it on a white candle. And you ask for a spouse like that, and then you will bring in that spouse into your space, in your screen space, because you will focus your third eye onto the flame. You focus your third eye onto the flame, and you speak those words, and you do your 108 beads one at a time, your affirmation 108 times, only 108 times a day. That's all, 108 times a day, and your spouse will materialize. She will materialize. If it's a she or if it's a he, they will materialize. But you got to exercise patience, you got to exercise love, and you got to exercise humility, and that person will come. And that person will be exactly as you asked for. This is why make sure you have the right, wording there. Not just a spouse. Somebody who can understand you, somebody who can love you, somebody who can, be with you. That's who you want. You don't want just anybody as a spouse. You got to be particulars. You don't want somebody to come and start arguing with you about, oh, I don't like your faith, or I don't like your home, or I don't like your car, or whatever. So you want to make sure that the spouse you want is just right. So the wording's got to be right. All you got to do is take a little strip of white paper, just write on it, loving and understanding spouse. That's enough. Put that on the little candle holder. It's there on the candle. Burn the candle, chant the words, and then stop. Then for the next 24 hours, detach, and then come to do it again the next day, 108 times again. Then detach again until that person materializes. And when that person materializes, you detach. And then you will know that you have your spouse. When that person turns up, you will 100% know that that person has come, the person that you desired. Okay? So go with that. And until next time, until next week, next Shabbat, have a great week ahead. Happy practicing, happy chanting the Hebrew words and your affirmations, and you'll all do great. Okay? Shabbat Shalom, and Shalom Shalom to you. If you wish to support our work, you can go to www.forever-israel.com or www.abrahamic-faith.info, and there is a donate now icon for PayPal, and you can send in a donation of your choice from that particular address. You can also use Cash App, and you can use PayPal directly, and you can send a donation to Shimon63, SHIMOUN63 at yahoo.com, or you can send a donation to $SIMALT with the Cash App. We greatly appreciate your support in this endeavor for us to spread the truth and the correct way for people to better their lives and to serve the God of Israel in their lives. Thank you, and may you be blessed forever. Amen. Amen.